Alright, welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and the Hobby Boss M4A3. So where I left off on part 3 was I had part 3 I primed, painted, applied the decals, did the detail painting, and put a dull coat on it. And it's looking pretty dandy. I'm digging it. So the thing next is some weathering. So here's what I'm going to be using to start the weathering. I've got these the Abteilung 502 or 502 Abteilung modeling oil color, and I'm going to be using these a few different colors to do some oil rendering on it, and I've demonstrated that in my last couple of videos, I believe. Basically just going to be putting some doing the oil dot rendering, throwing down with those on there, scrubbing them in with a brush to get some variations in the paint, some various fadings and stuff like that. Then I'll be doing some streaking and other such stuff, a little bit of rust maybe, that kind of thing. And I will continue working on the tracks. Now, in my last video, I commented on the tracks, and I used the Badger Stynel Res primer, which I absolutely love, and then I was going to apply a base coat of paint over top of that. And the color I was using was, since I was just going to be blowing some paint on there and not worried about, whatever, I used the Armor Brown Model Air, and gotta say, I hate this stuff. I really do. Every time I try and spray this stuff, something bad happens, and that's what happened this time. It clogged my airbrush to no end. I cleaned it, then I thinned it, and the same thing, and it just, that stuff, I know that there are tons of people that can use that paint, use this stuff with no problems. I am not one of those people. I cannot get this stuff to spray for the life of me, and I think it might have to do with my climate. It is really dry here. I have to have a fan going because it's warm, and I think it just dries the stuff up in the cup so quickly that, I just can't get spray. I'll spray okay for a little bit, and then next thing you know, it starts clogging. I can't even blow the stuff out. So I don't know. This stuff has officially been relegated to brush painting only. Brush painting only. It works great for that, and I do like it for brush painting, but spraying ain't gonna happen. I'm sticking with Tamiya. That stuff works, and it has never clogged my airbrush. And I was using the handy dandy HPM2, which you can throw out with some paint. I had to strip this thing down. It took forever to get all that crud out of there, out of the needle. It was horrible. So anyway, this isn't a paint review, sorry. Anyway, so with all that said, the paint, for some crazy reason, made the stinking primer come off of these tracks. Now, like I said, these are actual vinyl tracks. They're not the DS type stuff. So I'm going to have to repaint them. And, it just flaked right off. So I'm going to have to repaint them. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw some paint on it, just enough that I can get it on the kit, and then I will weather it then, after I've already got it on the kit. I normally like to do these separately, but it's just not working with this. So you can see right here, the stuff, it didn't happen as bad on this side, but on the inside, it just, I was able to flake it right off with some water and toothbrush, no problem, cleaned right off. So I'm going to have to redo those. Vinyl tracks, no liking. DS, flexible styrene, fine. Not those. So anyway, so I'm going to get all my oil paints ready and start working on, I think I'll start working on the turret first and see what I can get going. Alright, as you can see here, looking from the top to the side, there's quite a bit of difference. I've already started weathering, and what I'm doing is I've got these three colors here, buff, I can't remember, earth, and white. And all I'm doing is I'm using this brush here, and I'm just putting dots, random dots of this all over, and then I'm working it in with a little bit bigger brush, which is this one right here. I've also used before, mainly on bigger kits, this brush here, just because it's a little bit stiffer, but I'm afraid it's just a little too large for this kit, and I don't want to get it too weirded out. So let me give you a quick example. I've got my cleaning thinner here, and then I bought a bottle of the Abteilung 502 from my usual supplier when I got some other stuff. Supposedly it works better. I'm going to see if I can even see a difference. I probably won't, but I'm going to try it anyway. So basically what I'm doing is dip my brush in the thinner, got my cleaning towel here, get most of it off. I just keep the brush moist. And then I'm going to take these colors and then I'm going to work on this section back here first. Just put some random dots down like that. Okay, clean that off. Get some of this. I don't want to get too much of this because I don't want to get it too brownish looking. But I do want to get some variation in color here. And again, you know, this isn't the way some people do it, and there's all kinds of methods of using oils. This is what I'm working on right now. I'm experimenting still with using oils, so the white I'm going to use very sparingly because it can be quite bright. Now, I don't have any blues or bluish greens right now. I do want to get some of those because I think that'll work a little bit better on olive drab armor. But this is what I've got right now. So then I'm going to take my larger brush here. An even smaller brush would probably be better, but I don't have one right now that I think will work. So I'm just going to stick with this one. I dipped it in my thinner, getting as much off as possible. And then just start working it in, blending it in. Smaller brush would be much better in a case like this, but like I said, I don't have one, so I'm just right now, pretty much every model I build is a test bed. And if you hear hissing, it's my AC unit. Sorry, it's kind of warm here on the front porch today. But it's just it's just experiment. I'm trying to, notice I say trying to perfect the techniques. They will never be perfect. All we can do is strive for it. Okay? So right now you can't really tell a whole lot because it's wet, but as it dries it's going to give you more of the random looking texture instead of just the solid color. So I'm going to continue to work on the rest of the top of the turret here, doing the same thing, and then start working on the hull, and the hull will be where I'll be doing the same exact thing. So I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of that. So I'm going to keep working on this and come back. Alright, so I've got the initial weathering done. So what I've decided I want to do with this kit, and it's due to watching a video today and becoming inspired, because I want to have a kit coming up that I want to do a whitewash on. So I'm going to do a winter whitewash on this kit. I am going to, for the first time, try one using the hairspray method. So I'm going to let this oil stuff cure up a bit, and then I don't know how that looks on camera, so it looks kind of stark, but anyway, I'm going to be putting whitewash over it anyway, so it don't matter. So I'm going to let it cure up a bit, let this oil stuff dry up. I may add a little bit of streaking here and there to make, for the base, and then I'll start on the actual whitewash part of it. And for that, I'm going to be using Tamiya XF2 flat white, and I'm going to be thinning it with water because I have heard that it is best when doing a whitewash with Tamiya paint to use water instead of the typical thinners. It just helps it to work a little bit better. So guess I'll find out. So hang tight while I let this dry, and I will come back. Alright, so this is what I'm going to use to spray this model with the hairspray. I'm going to use just hit it a couple times and get a decent coat, a couple of light coats, and once that, and I'll probably throw it in front of the fan, let it dry up really good, and then I will start with the Tamiya white. Alright, I mixed up some XF2 flat white with some water, thinned it out really well, shook it up good, got it in the cup, and I have started painting the parts. And I'm putting it on thin and building it up so as not to get too much at once, like I almost did right there. And I'm using the handy dandy M2 here. Not being real careful. I'm putting it on real thin because I don't want it to puddle up. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to layer that up, come back. Alright, so here is what I have ended up with. So I'm going to let this cure up really well, dry, and I can start working on it with some wet paint brushes. Stay tuned. Alright, so thus far I got the using these three colors of the Abteilung 502 oil paints. I have added some streaking and a little bit of discoloration on the otherwise stark white winter camo. So that is done. So the next part, I did some underneath here too. It's a little splotchier than on top, but it's going to be covered up for the most part. And what I'm using is, first I'm going to apply some Vallejo light sienna using Vallejo's pigment binder to liquefy it. But as you can see, it's still kind of thick. So using my handy dandy thick liquefied pigment applicator brush, specially formed and shaped for these very purposes. Just going to get some on there and start jabbing it on the hull here. And all this is just going to be kind of a base coat for more stuff to come. See, this is why I usually install the suspension parts after I do this, because it's a lot harder to get in there. But as I said in one of my other videos, I figured I'd give it a try and see if I could actually pull it off. Now this, I don't have to worry too much about the texture of it, because like I said, it's just a base to add a lighter color underneath the darker mud that I want to have on top of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna have to be careful, because as I get on the suspension parts, I'm gonna have to keep it clean, because I don't want it on the surface of the wheels, so it just wouldn't look right. I'm gonna do that. Okay, and then it's just a base. Again, not too worried about the texture because of what's going to be going on top. Alright, so I'm going to do this to both sides and get a little bit on the suspension components themselves, but not much, and come back after I get all that applied and I'm ready for the next step. Alright, as you can see here, I finally got the tracks on, and what I've done is I've added fuel stains, some oil stains around the deck. This is not done yet, I just put it there just so it wouldn't be just laying around. I put the tracks on, and I've got a layer of Ultimate Model Products light dirt clay wash. So I'm letting that dry. So I'm going to let that dry. The next part that I will be doing will be the some more mud effects on the bottom. It's going to be a little bit darker mud, and then I'll be highlighting the track cleats and finishing the machine gun as far as the paint goes there and there, and then maybe a light dusting, and after that this should be done. So I am going to call this video quits, and if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the box below, and I will see you next time when I do some more on the Hobby Boss 1/48 scale M4A3. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.